If there's one thing that I just really dislike about working with window light, that's, because it changes all the time. You can't really decide how much light you want to bring into the camera, bring into the lens. So here I am sitting near a window, praying to God that the lighting's gonna work out for this video. Anyhow, welcome to the first episode of Coffee Wednesday. And Coffee Wednesday, let me explain this idea to you guys first before we dive into this discussion or dive into this video. What I've realized recently is that my video essays, it took a turn. At the start of the year, I made this video about how I want my channel to be like a catalog of creative content in general, or my own documentation of my own creative process. And that led to a boost in production quality, and that led me to scripting every one of the episodes, and that led me to basically provide content for you guys, or to pump out content for you guys that's information-packed, that's useful, that's applicable to a lot of people. But at the same time, I feel like what we were sacrificing with that format a lot is sort of like this community building aspect of YouTube, or actually chatting to you guys face to face, like a YouTuber, like a person who loves his coffee. So every Wednesday, we're gonna step away from the scripts, we're gonna step away from everything, and just basically do one of these very casual episodes just to catch up, just to answer Instagram questions or YouTube comments, or in general, just to talk about what's been happening in my life and where's my next move, or where should I go next, or my university projects and side projects that I'm working on. What I really want to do here is to facilitate a community of curious learners, so to speak. All the videos in the future are going to be about how to learn better, or how to become a more well-rounded learner, how to become a more creative learner. So you're not just into literature, for example. You're not just into history. You're not just into archaeology or music. What I'm doing here really is I'm trying to look into the foundation of what it means to learn, or techniques for learning everything. So you can walk away from each video with a very fresh perspective of how to tackle certain subjects, or how to adopt the right mindset when you're diving into that subject. So over time, as a community, we can kind of reclaim that curiosity that we've lost from years of education, years of grinding the gears in the education system. So we can cultivate that curiosity again to become lifelong students, because that's really the aim of the game. Becoming lifelong students. So, to kick everything off, today we're going to talk about interests, and this particular problem that I have with struggling with many interests in my life. I would say too many. So I was in a class once, and one of these like mathematics classes, when I used to do engineering. And although I was very proficient in mathematics, but I wasn't in love with it. And there's something that this teacher said to me that really stuck with me, that really sort of like touched a nerve in me, or sort of like offended me a little bit. She basically sat down next to me and she's like, "Robin, you have too many interests and this is gonna do you no good. Right now you need to focus on getting the top grade for this class." And at the time, because I was quite young, I was like 17 at the time. That was like about 4 years ago. I wasn't exactly sure where my life is gonna go just yet. So I was just kind of like stuck in between the state of, should I listen to her or should I not listen to her? Because modern society is all about pigeonholing people. It's all about feeding you through a tube, and then at the end of the tube, you've got yourself a degree in, for example, engineering, finance, commerce, or you've got a bachelor in journalism, and that's going to feed you through to that title. So a degree of focus or specialization, really works. And if you go even higher up in the education system or in the academic ladder, you got your PhD, and these are basically so niched down that basically you can't do much with the knowledge in those fields anymore if you go to the very top. I mean, expertise is definitely important. It's very important to get really good at one thing. But at the time, when I was 17, when this teacher said to me, you need to narrow your focus, you need to work on a few things, my intuitions just sort of like rebelled against it. Because growing up, my first passion or my first obsession was music. This is a video essay that I'm actually working on, basically telling the story of how I eventually became a classically trained pianist. And this basically was my first really childhood obsession. And that gradually evolved into playing around with cameras and photography. And I was like 9 at the time. And photography sort of morphed into videography. And before I know it, I learned how to edit. I learned how to produce videos. I learned how to use a camera properly. And over time, my interests grew, and I started learning about history. I started learning about literature. I started reading a ton. I started reading philosophy. All these interests, they've in a sense converged together. They've in a sense came together at the end to build this YouTube channel, to build these creative video essays. And I think 2022 is really about combining all of those passions together for me. Because before, we've addressed a lot of theory, But I feel like this year is my year of, in a sense, of combining cinematography really deliberately and consciously with storytelling, with learning, and, you know, with many of the other passions that I'm currently exploring, like music and, of course, recently, fashion design. To survive in the 21st century, you know, this is my opinion, you kind of have to be a polymath. You kind of have to aspire to the idea of a Renaissance person. You kind of have to sort of be proficient in many areas of disciplines at once. You need to learn how to do this, you need to learn how to do that, because man, if you ever want to create your own venturing life, if you ever want to start your own business, if you ever want to start anything of your own that's outside of the realm of employment, if you really want to be a creative in the 21st century, it's not enough just to have your craft down packed. If you want to be a journalist, it's not just enough just to be really good at journalism. You need to learn social media, you need to learn marketing, you need to learn so many other things, blogging, SEO, all of these things. They are separate areas of mastery. So if you want to really be an incredible person in this economy, if you want to really let your curiosity lead you to where you want to be in life, open yourself up to multiple interests and embrace that idea of being very well-rounded. Embrace that idea of having an expertise, but also have this ability to go broad and deep with all of the things that you're interested in life. Because you never know where these interests might lead you to. You know, when I first started filming videos, I had no idea that this is going to turn into my full-time career from now on. So in a sense, I'm kind of glad that I've ignored the advice of that teacher in that mathematics class. She was blatantly wrong, and she wasn't correct at all when she assumed that the only way to get ahead in life is to become hyper unidimensional on one thing. There's a space for people with many talents and many proficiency in many disciplines, because they are, in a sense, the visionaries. They can combine different intersections of different fields to come up with like systemic solutions for some of the problems that we're solving. And that's what I'm really interested in. That's what I really want to communicate to you in this video, which is like, if you have multiple interests, pursue all of them. Don't be unidimensional, because you're going to have hours off of work. You're going to have hours off of your main pursuit. And those hours, instead of going on Netflix, or instead of just doing random things, well, cultivate a passion for learning and turn it into a lifelong obsession. And that's something that I'm currently doing on a daily basis. And I want the same for you, because it's pleasurable, it's fun, and learning should be just that, a very fun and very recreational activity. It should be something that enriches your soul day by day. Anyhow, RC Walden here. Thank you for watching this episode of Coffee Wednesday. And next Wednesday, we're probably going to take some questions from Instagram, and I'll give you guys a heads up on Instagram before I shoot the next video or the next episode of this series. And I will see you in the next one. Take care.